Hello, dear students. We are studying the story The Rattrap. Okay, the story is written by Selma Legaloff, and the story is about a rat trap seller. So let's continue the story. The stranger must have seemed incredulous, for the old man got up and went to the window, took down a leather pouch which hung on a nail in the very window frame, and picked out three wrinkled 10 kronor bills. As you know, the students, that kronor is a currency of Sweden. Okay, and bills means notes, rupees. Like in India, we call them rupees. In Sweden, they are known as bills. Okay, now, dear students, incredulous. Here is a word, incredulous. Incredulous means unbelieving. Okay, and here the rat trap seller did not believe the old man's words. Okay, that a cow could earn him so much, because the old man said to him, he earns a lot of money because of his cow. Therefore, the old man took a leather pouch which hung on a window. The pouch was hung on a window on a nail. Okay, and he picked out three wrinkled 10 kronor bills. Wrinkled, there were lines on those bills, and they were, Sweden currency. All right. Further, the author says that he showed those currency notes to make him believe his words and then kept them back in the pouch. Only the old man took out the money because he wanted to show the Rattrap seller that he had enough money, and the money that he had, he earned the money by selling the milk of the cow. Okay, and then stuff means, as you know, that to fill up with something, and here he had filled up the pouch with the money, with the kronor. Now let's move on to next para. The next day, both men got up in good season. Good season means early in the morning. Got up means they woke up. The crofter means the man. Crofter, as I told you earlier, a man who works in farm. Okay, he was in a hurry to milk his cow, and the other man probably thought he should not stay in bed when the head of the house had gotten up. Okay, and here the other man is the rat trap seller. Okay, so dear students, as you know that the rat trap seller is staying with the man who is living in the cottage. Okay, so next morning both the rat trap seller and the crofter woke up early, as the crofter was in a hurry to milk his cow. Even the rat trap seller felt that, as the owner of the house had awakened, so he should also leave the bed. Okay, then they both came out of the cottage at the same time. The old man locked the door and went to his work. Then the crofter means the old man, he locked his door and he kept the key in his pocket of his cottage door. And the rat trap seller also, that time he thanked him and went his own way. Means the rat trap seller, he went to his own way, and the milkman, it means the old man, he also went to his own way. Now next we'll see here, children, you can see the picture. In this picture, this man is rat trap seller. Okay, and here he had a bag. Let's see what is in that bag. But half an hour later, the rat trap peddler means seller, stood again before the door. Means half an hour later, the rat trap seller came back and he stood there again the door of the cottage. He did not try to get in. Actually, the door was locked, so he couldn't got in. However, he only went up to the window, smashed a pane. Okay, what did he do? Smashed. Smashed means badly broken. He badly broken the window. The window pane stuck in his hand, and he took his hand inside. Through that, window and got hold of the pouch with the 30 kronor, and he just caught the bag where 30 kronor were kept by the old man. He took the money and thrust it into his pocket. He just thrust it means he put the money quickly in his pocket. Then he hung the leather pouch very carefully back in its place and went away. And he put the pouch back to its place, but it was empty without any kronor. It means the Rattrap seller had stolen the money of the old man. As he walked along with the money in his pocket, he felt quite pleased with his smartness. And he was happy after stealing the money. He thought that he was the smartest man. He realized, of course, that at first he dared not to continue on the public highway, but must turn off the road into the woods. Actually, as he was having the money of the old man, so he thought that he should not walk on the public highway because the man can alarm the people about his stealing. So he turned off the road into the woods. So he took turn and he went towards the woods. Woods means forest. All right. Now, uh, during the first hours, this caused him no difficulty. During the first hours of his stealing, and when he walked uh, to the path of the forest, there was no difficulty. Later in the day, it became worse, for it was a big and confusing forest which he had gotten into. And during the day, he became afraid because the forest was confusing and the route was also confusing where he had gotten into. He tried to be sure to walk in a definite direction, but the path twisted back and forth so strangely. Actually, he tried to get the right path, but because of the twist in the path, he couldn't go straight, and it seemed strangely for him. He walked he walked and walked without coming to the end of the wood, and finally he realized that he had only been walking around in the same part of the forest. Actually, he tried to find out the right path, but he couldn't. So he walked, and finally he came to the same path which he had chosen earlier. Okay, it means at this point of time, he started thinking that now he himself was caught in the trap of the world. Okay. At once, he recalled his thought because he recalled his thought about the world and the rat trap as he was thinking in the beginning. Now his own turn had come, and he thought that he had also got caught in the rat trap. He was fooled by the bait of money, and here money was the bait for him. Okay, because he was, he was too greedy towards the money that he stole the money. And the forest seemed like a prison full of trunks and branches. And also, with its trunk and branches, the whole forest, it thickest. Thickets means a dense group of bushes and fallen logs closed in upon him like an impenetrable prison from which he could not escape. Impenetrable means impassable because he couldn't escape from those, we can say here, fallen logs, branches, and thickets. All right. It was like an impassable prison for him. Now let's continue. It was late in December. Darkness was already descending over the forest. Actually, as the month was of December, so there was darkness. And you know that in the month of December, the days are short, so it got dark early. As it got dark, his hope of escaping the forest reduced. Okay, he thought that he could not escape the forest, and it increased his gloom and despair. Gloom means, as you know that we call it dark here, generally sadness. Despair means hopelessness. He was so hopeless. Finally, he saw no way out and he sank down on the ground. Okay, then when he thought that he can't go out the forest, so what did he do? There was no way left for him, so he sat on the ground and was so tired and terrified that he thought that this was his last moment and soon he would die. He also thought that it was his last moment and soon he would die. But just as he laid his head on the ground, he heard a sound, a hard, regular thumping. When he was lost in his thought and he was in the line of his thought that soon he will die, he heard a sound, thumping sound. Thumping means the sound of some heavy object beating. Okay, so here he heard the thumping sound. There was no doubt as to what that was, and he understood quickly. He raised himself. He just raised his head. Those are the hammer strokes from an iron mill, because he knew that there is an iron mill and the sound is made by the hammers. He thought there must be people nearby, and he was happy by this thought that there must be people. He summoned all his strength. Summoned means here recollected and got up and staggered in the direction of the sound. Now staggered means to walk with difficulty, as he was tired, so he walked with difficulty in the direction of the sound. Now the Ramso iron work, which are now closed down. Now here the author, she says that it was earlier, it was the name of the company, iron company, Ramso Iron Works, which are now closed down. And when, now means when she is writing this story, that time the factory has been closed down. One not so long ago, but she says that long ago it was opened. It was a large plant with smelter. Smelter means, smelter is, a machine in which metal is melted to form into a shape. Okay, that is called smelter. So that time it was a large plant with smelter, rolling mill and forge. Rolling means also a machine to roll metal into sheet, and forge means a shop where metal is heated. Okay, now in the summertime, long lines of heavily loaded barges and scows slid down the canal, which led to a large inland lake, and in the winter time, the roads near the mill were black from all the coal dust which sifted down from the big charcoal crates. Now, here the author, she tells us that in the summertime, long lines means during summer days, what happened there? Long lines were of heavily loaded barges. Now, what is barge? A long flat bottom boat for carrying freight on canals and river. Okay, so here she says that time there was a queue of those barges and scows. Then, and in winter time also, the roads near the mill were black, and during winter the roads near the mill were found black from the coal dust, okay, which sifted from the big charcoal crates. Sifted means descended lightly or sparsely as if sprinkled from a sieve, okay, because the work in the factory used to be going on those days. So here the author tells us about that iron mill where the Rattrap goes and he finds that he's now safe. Okay, so dear students, let's continue. During one of the long dark evenings just before Christmas, the master smith and his helpers sat in the dark forge near the furnace waiting for the crude iron. Now here the author tells us about those days also. During one of the long dark evenings means she is talking about the past before Christmas, and it was the day of before Christmas. The master smith and his helper, they sat there in the dark forge near the furnace. Furnace means where the fire was burnt, waiting for the crude iron, and they were waiting for the iron to be melt, okay, to be molten, which had been put in the fire to be ready to put on the anvil. Now, dear students, anvil means a heavy iron block with a flat top and concave side. Okay, that is called anvil. Every now and then, one of them got up to stir the glowing mass with a long iron bar, and they used to every now and then means often, frequently, one of them, the master smith and his helper, They got up to stir. Stir means move. The glowing mass with a long iron bar, returning in a few moments, dripping with perspiration. Perspiration means sweating. And they just, after doing so, they used to come back with sweat. Though, as was the custom, he wore nothing but a long shirt and a pair of wooden shoes. And that time it was the custom that they used to wear, the helper and the uh, Smith, they used to wear nothing but a long shirt and a pair of wooden shoes. Okay, so this was all about the rat trap. So, dear students, that's all for today. Rest of the text we will discuss in our next class. Okay, till then, you enjoy, you watch it, and try to understand. Thank you.